As a football fan, what would you expect as a punishment for serious breaches of financial rules? If you said point deductions, multi-year transfer ban, or massive fines, you're wrong. Where Everton was stripped of points for a single financial fair play breach, and Nottingham Forest saw their top-flight survival threatened over a timing dispute on a player sale, 74 breaches sounded like an insurmountable death sentence. Yet, when the FA finally delivered its verdict on Chelsea's long-running legal investigation on their financial breaches, the headline reading of the ruling sent shockwaves across the football world. 0 point deductions today, 0 active transfer bans, just a £10 million fine, an amount that represents little more than a couple of months of wages for a top Premier League star, conveniently earmarked to fund grassroots football. To rival supporters, it may feel like an injustice. To sports lawyers and corporate advisors, it was nothing short of a tactical masterclass. How did Chelsea commit nearly 6 dozen regulatory violations across more than a decade and walk away with what is unquestionably the most forgiving slap on the wrist in football history? And more importantly, as football's regulatory system faces its biggest crisis, how does Chelsea's outcome compare to the elephant in the room? Manchester City's looming verdict over 115 financial charges. To understand how Chelsea dodged the hammer, we first have to step back into Roman Abramovich era. Between 2009 and 2022, Chelsea was a behemoth backed by Russian billionaires' wealth. But behind the glitz of Premier League trophies, Champions League titles, and marquee transfers lay a sophisticated, off-the-books accounting network. According to extensive investigation by the FA alongside independent financial journalists, Chelsea were charged with breaches of Regulation J1 and C2 of the FA Football Agents Regulation, Regulations A2 and A3 of the FA Regulations on working with intermediaries, and Regulations A1 and B3 of the FA Third-Party Investment in Player Regulations. In total, 74 charges were brought against Chelsea. To understand why this matters, you have to look at how modern football transfers actually operate. When a top European talent changes clubs, the agent holds immense leverage. To beat clubs like Real Madrid, Barcelona, PSG or Manchester United, you know, the big money behemoths, clubs don't just offer high transfer fees to the selling team, they pay massive commissions to the player representatives. Under FA and UEFA rules, every single penny paid to an agent, scout or intermediary must be explicitly logged, declared and disclosed on official club financial statements. Chelsea, however, did none of that. Investigators discovered that during blockbuster transfers, millions were covertly funneled through offshore shell companies registered in secretive jurisdictions like Cyprus and the British Virgin Islands. These payments went directly to unlicensed intermediaries, unregistered agents, and player representatives. By keeping these massive sums outside of official club accounting, Chelsea managed to sweeten transfer deals, lock down world-class talents, keep their official public balance sheets looking pristine for over a decade. This system gave Chelsea a competitive edge in the global transfer market. Fast forward to May 2022. Following government sanctions placed on Roman Abramovich, Chelsea Football Club was forced into a rapid, high-stakes sale. Enter Todd Boehly and Clear Lake Capital, the consortium known as BlueCo, who purchased the West London club for £2.5 billion. As part of standard corporate governance, Boehly and his partners brought in an army of forensic accountants and legal auditors to inspect Chelsea's internal archives. What they uncovered buried in the financial records was a paper trail of unrecorded transactions, missing contracts, and unexplained offshore wire transfers tied to historical player transfers. At this exact moment, Chelsea's new owners faced a monumental decision. Either they stay silent, sweep the files under the rug, and pray that regulatory bodies like the UEFA, the Premier League, the FA would never notice. But in an era of digital leaks, whistleblowers, investigative reporting, and YouTube, keeping such transactions buried forever was a ticking time bomb. Or they could take a massive legal gamble, step forward, self-report the historical wrongdoing, hand over the entire archive of evidence directly to the regulators. BlueCo chose option B. they voluntarily presented their internal findings to UEFA and FA, opening up their books for complete inspection. It was an unprecedented move in modern sports administration, and it proved to be the single most important decision in saving Chelsea from harsh punishments. When the FA formally investigated, the charges mounted rapidly, culminating in 74 separate breaches of FA agent regulations and third-party investment rules. The sheer volume of charges was unlike anything the FA had prosecuted against a single club in recent memory. When the Independent Regulatory Commission reviewed the initial findings, they recognized the systemic nature of the violations. The initial ruling dropped like an anvil, a £10 million fine accompanied by an immediate suspended 6-point deduction. A suspended point deduction meant that if Chelsea committed another financial or regulatory breach within this set time frame, 6 points would automatically be slashed from the Premier League tally. In a league where a single point can decide European qualification or cost tens of millions in prize money, a suspended deduction hung over the club like a constant threat. Chelsea immediately launched an appeal. Appearing before the independent panel, Chelsea's lawyers delivered a brilliant counter-argument. They argued that a points deduction, even a suspended one, creates an ongoing sporting penalty that directly harms the current squad, the manager, and the new ownership group, none of whom had any involvement in the historical misconduct of the previous regime. The appeal board agreed. They overturned the suspended 6-point deduction entirely. In its place, they put in a suspended 2-window transfer ban, set to run until mid-2027. Can you believe it? Chelsea walked away from 74 charges with 0 points lost on the pitch and 0 active transfer window bans. As soon as Chelsea's ruling was delivered, one question dominated every sports talk show and social media thread. If Chelsea can commit 74 breaches and walk away with a fine, does this mean Manchester City will get off scot-free for the 115 charges? To answer that, you have to look under the hood of both legal sagas. While the charge counts sound similar, the strategy, nature, and legal reality of these two cases could not be more different. The most fundamental difference lies in how the cases began. Chelsea's charges were self-reported. Todd, Boehly, and BlueCo handed over internal servers, emails, bank records, anything that they could find, what regulators called unprecedented access. Manchester City, on the other hand, did not. Their troubles originated from leaked internal documents published by the German outlet Der Spiegel. City fought the Premier League's investigation every step of the way. In fact, out of City's 115 charges, a staggering 35 charges are strictly for failure to cooperate with the Premier League between 2018 and 2023. While Chelsea built goodwill by opening their doors, City brought in top-tier legal teams, spending over £30 million in legal fees to challenge the Premier League. The 74 breaches occurred entirely under Roman Abramovich. BlueCo argued that hammering the current club would penalize new owners who had spent billions buying the team in good faith and then immediately reported the bad behavior. Manchester City cannot use this defense. The 115 charges against City span from 2009 to 2018, a period under the exact same ownership group, Sheikh Mansour and City Football Group, who still control the club today. Not only that, the nature of the alleged crimes is radically different. Chelsea's 74 breaches center around undisclosed agent fees and intermediary rules. It primarily concerns how agent commissions were handled. City's charges strike at the very heart of the Premier League's financial ecosystem. City is accused of 54 counts of failing to provide accurate financial information, 14 counts of failing to declare true player and manager compensation, such as off-the-books contracts for former manager Roberto Mancini, and multiple counts of breaching FFP and PSR rules. If proven, City did not just misreport agent fees, they allegedly disguised owner funding as legitimate commercial sponsorship to artificially pump hundreds of millions into their revenue stream. Crucially, independent financial audits confirmed that while Chelsea's secret agent payments violated FA rules, they did not mathematically alter Chelsea's compliance with PSR. Chelsea did not break the financial spending cap to gain a direct PSR advantage. In contrast, the Premier League's case against Manchester City alleges that City's financial reporting directly allowed them to bypass FFP limits, enabling them to build a squad that won multiple Premier League titles. If City are found guilty of manipulating revenue to bypass PSR, the sporting advantage gained is immense, making point deductions or even relegation an actual legal possibility, unlike Chelsea's agent disclosure dispute. Despite the legal distinctions between the two cases, Chelsea's soft landing triggered widespread anger across English football. Supporters of clubs like Everton, Nottingham Forest and Leicester City pointed to what they perceived as a blatant double standard in football governance. To the average fan, the message sent by FA appears troubling. Mega-rich clubs can simply commit serious breaches of financial rules and just get away with it. For Manchester City, however, Chelsea's ruling is irrelevant. If anything, it may be bad news, because by handing Chelsea a break, specifically because they self-reported and cooperated, the regulatory bodies have drawn a clear line in the sand. So, did Chelsea get away with murder, or did BlueCo execute the most effective corporate damage control strategy in modern sports history? The truth lies somewhere in between. Under Roman Abramovich, Chelsea repeatedly broke regulations to secure elite talent and construct a winning dynasty. But when the reckoning finally arrived, the new ownership group used self-reporting as a legal bulletproof vest, exploiting every procedural rule in the FA handbook to ensure the penalty never touched them. Chelsea paid 10 million to wipe 74 sins off their record, proving once again that in modern football, having world-class lawyers can be just as decisive as having world-class strikers. Thank you for watching. Like if you liked it, share if you found it worthy, and subscribe for more content like this. This is Salty Football.